Welcome to Peter and Ruffy's football show here on STV. The main talking points on tonight's programme. Motherwell confirms Stephen Robinson as their new manager. Kenny Miller doesn't want to hang up his playing boots just yet. And Hibs boss Neil Lennon's all set to welcome a trio back from injury. Yeah, that's just a few of the talking points we'll have on the programme tonight. Alan Ruff is alongside me, Peter Martin. We're delighted to have your company, and I'm also delighted to say our boot-room guest is St Mirren midfielder Stephen McGinn, a happy man after last night's win over Dundee United in a 5-goal thriller. And I don't know about you, Stephen, but I can definitely hear the theme from The Great Escape kicking in big time now. There must be so many of you believe it's on.
Yeah, we have since we won at Ayr. We've really believed, and now we've just beaten Dundee United after beating Hibs. So we're playing really well at the minute, and I think we're second in the form table at the minute in the league as well. So yeah, the teams above us won't be looking forward to us coming. Yeah.
What about that belief? Because when I look around, I mean, Stevie Mal must be unbearable at the moment because his free kicks are special at the best of times.
That was some goal last night. Didn't expect it, but he's got it in his locker. To shoot from that angle and to put it in with the pace he did, the conviction, top drawer, and he's one of those players that if he put that in the stand, everyone would just go on with it because you know we've actually got it in his locker. And I don't know if it's worth a watch if you can get a hold of it to see it, because it really is from such a tight angle to put it in with the pace he does. And so much conviction, it was top draw.
Great win, Robbie. I don't know if you did you see that coming? I actually looked at the Dundee United game and thought, okay, the battles for St Mirren might be elsewhere, closer around them.
Yeah, I don't know if Stephen agrees, but I think the turning point was the Challenge Cup, you know, and I think St Mirren were just looking for a bit of a lift, you know, so that they all could believe that they could go on a run. And I think that semi-final win that they had just gave everybody the belief that they're in a final. Everybody loves being in a final. It doesn't matter what cup it's in. And ever since then, they've just kicked on. And that's what it's like in a football. In your dressing room, and everybody's buzzing, and it's a great place to be. You tend to go on a wee run, and that's what they've done.
Yeah, and suddenly, Stephen, when you look at the championship table, I mean, it's good viewing for you. A point behind Ayr and 5 behind Wraith Rovers.
We went into the Hibs game 2 Wednesdays ago, and we were 8 points behind Ayr. It was off the back of them beating Wraith Rovers, and you're actually going into that Hibs game thinking, we're playing top of the league here and we've got to win, and we've got it back to within a point. We said coming through such a punishing schedule, we've been playing Saturday, Wednesday, and if we could get in, keep in with the pack, coming off the back of next week's cup final, then we'll be giving ourselves a right chance.
Yeah, I don't want to try and... I need to get inside your head to find out what type of person you are. Ruffy knows I like a noise up when it comes to midfield battles. Did you at any time give your brother pelters when you were playing against him in that game?
Not during the game, no, but all day prior to that. We had both stayed at my mum's that night, the night before, so spent the whole day hounding him. I think by the time kick-off started, he was sick of me.
That would be brilliant, Rob. Can you imagine playing with your brother in a game? That would have been non-stop giving him pelters.
Yeah, I think it would have been. It'd been great actually staying the night. I mean, I think the noise up you could get up to, you know. Just waking them up every half hour.
I woke up about 9:30 and I could tell he was still sleeping. I'm thinking, dig in and wake him up.
You absolutely do.
I'd actually let him be.
Stephen, if that was Ruffy, he'd have been in and scalped him with a pillow right over the head to wake him up. Good stuff. But of course, you know, your return has been welcomed by the St Mirren fans. It's a good midfield. We've had John Sutton on the show. Get him service, he'll score goals. What about the manager?
Brilliant. Obviously played with him. He was someone I got on really well with. He was a lot of respect for as a player. But he started off coaching at Dumbarton, and my brother was at Dumbarton as a player at the time. And he raved about him. So his training's brilliant. Boys love him. He thinks he'll go on to be a really good manager, and I had felt that anyway. So when the chance came up to work with him in January, it was something I was really excited by. And since the moment I signed for him, I've not had one regret.
Yeah, and of course the next game's coming up, Queen of the South away, but I think the key issue here is Ayr and Dumbarton at home.
Yeah, well, we've got, I mean, we look at having beaten Hibs and Dundee United at home, we fancy herself against anyone at home. So obviously they're going to be the key games, especially with the teams around us, but mainly being at home as well. So we know the fixture running at the end is really tough. We play 3 out of the top 4 in the last 4 games, so we want to try and get the points in as soon as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, from St Mirren, let's switch our attention to a story that was breaking late yesterday. Of course, Motherwell decided that Stephen Robinson was going to be their choice as new manager. I could see that one coming, Ruffy, could you?
Yeah, so could I. I think when he went there initially, he was so highly regarded. Every time I think it was Steve McManus we were talking to, he was a great foil for Mark. You know, his coaching was very, very good, and we noticed that at some of the games we were at. You know, he'd changed everything. You know, the pre-match warm-up and everything. They looked really disciplined in everything he did. So everything he's done behind the scenes since the time he's been there has got him the job. You know, because obviously the players there have obviously chipped in, the experienced players with a good word for him as well, and it's a good appointment. He just needs to go and win games.
Yep, well, he's got an 18-month contract, and as you would imagine, the immediate priority is to get Motherwell away from the relegation battle.
It gives me a little bit of an advantage. You know, when I'm in at Oldham, you don't know the players, you don't know the staff, you don't know the background of what's been going on. So it gives me a little bit of a head start to it already. I know the vast majority of the players really well, and I know what's needed. Keep the club in the division. You know, that's the be all and end all at this moment in time. We'll worry about things after that there, and we'll make plans for going forward after that. At this time, you know, we can't sign any other players, so we have to deal with what we've got. We have to deal with the injury situation we've got and rectify that and make sure we get through to the end of the season.
Yeah, midfielder Stephen Pearson delighted that Robinson has the job because, of course, he already has an inside knowledge of the squad he's inherited.
I think it's important that the club appointed somebody that knows the players and knows what he's coming to work with and knows what he's dealing with. So I think on that side it was a good appointment. And it certainly bodes well for us now moving forward, and the aim for us is to go on a run and get ourselves away from trouble. Every manager's different. Some see it as they like to let the coach get on with it, but Robbo's very much a hands-on coach, and you know, he's very good knowledge of the game, as I say. Tactically he's very good, so you know, we'll be well prepared, that's for sure, and we're looking forward to Saturday now.
Yep, so a new manager, maybe some new ideas in there as well. I'll tell you, if you're close at the bottom end of the Championship, at the bottom end of the Premiership, Stephen, we've been struggling to try and pick some. I think we've changed our mind every week.
I don't know who I would pick to go down, because the teams that are actually sitting first bottom and second bottom are teams that have did it year in, year out and know how to stay up. So I think there's a few teams should be really worried.
Yeah, it's going to be a dogfight right until the end. Of course, if you've been getting up this morning, here are some of the back page headlines from the morning papers. Of course, Kenny Miller in the frame as Pedro Caixinha's assistant, and of course I think from that point of view we'll hear from Kenny Miller very shortly, as well as Pedro Caixinha in the next part of the programme. Over and above that, one of the other papers, the Daily Record, had in and scout Lee Congerton confirmed as the new head of recruitment at Celtic, and there's the other relating to Stephen Robinson as manager. And this other one caught my eye, Ruffy, which was, I think, in the Daily Mail, which was the game changer. BT Sport set to make a record bid for the TV rights, exclusive TV rights to the SPFL. Now, if they can land that deal, that could give a lot of clubs a huge financial shot in the arm.
Yeah, I think we all know that it's because of Rangers and Celtic. You know, they're the big games that everybody wants to see, and the rest of the teams will just get a spin-off from that, as you've just said there. I think it'd be great if we could get a reasonable deal. I don't think we've been getting a good deal in the last 2 or 3 years. So let's hope they can, because I think every club needs as much money as possible.
Yep, at every level as well, and the exposure on it. And I think a lot of people want to see, you know, a television company put not only a lot of money but a lot of effort into promoting the game.
Well, actually, I enjoy watching the coverage on BT. I watch the programme that comes on before the live games, because they go in depth. They obviously are passionate about it, and they cover all departments. It's not just Celtic and Rangers. you feel as if they've got decent opinions on all the teams and they know exactly what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. You know they copy us quite a lot, Stephen. You know, and I just thought I'd let you in on that fact. I'm only winding you up. We'll give you a question which will test Stephen McGinn's knowledge. It'll test Ruffy's because he hasn't got one right this week. See if you can get it right as well. All to do with the Champions League. Probably the first time this week, Ruffy, we've had a guest in, nailed it first time. Usually it takes you 32 goes to come up with the answer.
Yeah, but I have to be honest, I might have got that one.
Yeah? Oh yeah, you'll say that now. He's delivered the answer. Anyway, Dado Pricho played for Monaco. They lost eventually in the final in 2004 to Porto by 3-0. That's the quiz question. Let's move on now to Rangers. And Pedro Caixinha's had more than a few days just to work with the players, have a little chat with them, let the players know exactly what system he wants them to play in. And at the weekend they're coming up against Hamilton, and of course Kenny Miller. A lot of the back pages, as we saw earlier, were talking about Kenny Miller possibly in a coaching role. He has actually admitted, Pedro Caixinha, that he's spoken to the Rangers striker about the job. But first and foremost, this is what Caixinha had to say about his first couple of days working with the players.
I'm really happy about the players are receiving this change in mentality. Normally when something happens about the change of a coach, we used to say in Portugal that is like some sort of psychological. I call it more change of methods that we are passing here. So that change is going to take time.
Yep, it will take time for the players to respond to the way he wants them to play, although the early indications are that he wants them to attack, be aggressive, and when they don't have the ball, be aggressive in trying to get it back, Ruffy.
Yeah, I think every new manager comes in, get new ideas, and sometimes you need that as a player just to freshen things up. If his training's good, you look forward to getting in. There'll be something different every day. And I think we're all waiting to see what kind of football they're going to play. We all go down the road, we all know that they need players and they need cash, but at this precise moment in time it'll be interesting to see what they're going to do from now to the end of the season, because they've got another big Celtic game coming up. So I think all the Rangers supporters will be very hopeful that he can change it round.
Yep, and of course it's well documented he wants to try and hire somebody on a local basis to join his coaching staff. He has discussed it with Kenny Miller, as we mentioned, but the 37-year-old isn't for hanging the boots up just yet.
Along, my focus is firmly on being a player for as long as I can. I mean, you're a long time retired, so I'm firmly focused on the game at the weekend and obviously continue my duties as a player until the end of the season, hopefully beyond. But when things like that are put to you, like you say, is with more detail and discussions, then who knows? I don't want to. I don't feel ready to hang the boots up just yet. Like I say, you're a long time retired, and I still feel I've got a lot to offer on the field at the moment. So it would definitely have to involve still being a player.
Well, I always say, Stephen, if there's ever a young footballer who wants to look at somebody and try and emulate their attitude to professionalism, Kenny Miller's right up there.
Yeah, top draw. What a career he's had, and I've spoke to a few people that I played with at Cardiff, and even though he never had the best of times down there, they said his attitude and his work rate was exemplary, and he hardly ever misses a game. I can't remember him ever being out for spells with injuries or niggles. He's always out there and he's always playing.
Yeah, I'm looking at some. I mean, I seem to remember him as like a fresh-faced kid in a championship playoff in a Wolves jersey. That seems like an eternity ago, Ruffy.
Yeah, but again, he's a model professional. You just have to look at him. He looks as sharp as ever. Okay, last weekend he played off the main striker, which I thought his work rate was fantastic for a player of that age. And you could see during the game the influence he had. Just keeping everybody right, saying to the players what to do, just guiding them through the game. The only thing was when playing that deeper role, it takes the goal threat out, which we all know he's always good for a goal. So You know, I'm quite happy with him saying he wants to play more, because you want to play. You don't want to be a coach when you've still got legs in you, and the longer he plays, the better.
Let's switch our attention to one of Kenny's old clubs, Hibernian. Of course, after Stephen's heroics last night, Hibs now with a 10-point gap over Dundee United. The closest team to them happens to be Falkirk, only 6 behind. And the big bonus for Hibs is the likes of Dylan McGeoch, Paul Hanlon and Chris Humphrey look as if they'll all be returning soon for the title run-in. And again, Hibs boss Neil Lennon quick to point out that he feels as if the players are starting to respond at the key end of the season after that win against Dundee United.
I think it was a hugely significant win, and the manner in which we achieved it as well. You know, the performance was good, the professionalism and the attitude of the team was excellent. So we have to maintain that now. Expectation rises. You have to deal with the expectation. But basically, we're in a strong position after a big win on Friday night. And we just have to take care of business. We're just taking off the games one by one. You know, out of the 9 games, 6 are at home. So, we've done the majority of the hard work, but there's still a bit of work to do.
Well, 6 games at home puts your brother and the team in a very good position to wrap up this title long before the end of the season.
Yeah, well, questions were asked of them going into the Dundee United game, and I think Dundee United win would have put them 4 behind Hibs with a game in hand. So they answered it in fine fashion on Friday, and with 3 home games to come, they've got to be thinking about putting some serious distance between them and the chasing pack.
Yeah, can you see anybody stopping them, Falkirk, Morton?
I don't want to jinx it, but no, I can't.
No, okay. That's the championship for you. Of course, we showed you in the headlines that Celtic have a new head of recruitment. Lee Congerton at Robbie comes in. I think Brendan knows him from his days at Liverpool.
Yeah, and he certainly seems to be a guy who identifies that young player who, if got at an early stage, they can make millions out of them. And I think every club needs that in their makeup. We saw the Dembele situation, 500,000. Now we're talking about 30 million. So these guys are really, really important at a club. If they've got a good pedigree to identify these players, then bring them on board.
Yep. Okay. It's Saturday and Sunday could be quite interesting, because it's hard to believe that if Aberdeen were to lose to Hearts at Pittodrie, then Celtic could clinch the title in the city of discovery. It's not something that Dundee boss Paul Hartley has actually thought about.
Something that we've sort of mentioned or spoke about. The results will depend on Saturday. Then there's a possibility that Celtic could come here and possibly win the title. And that's not something that we want. We need the points just as much as Celtic do. But it's not something that's sort of entered our head. We've just sort of prepared for Celtic. We know we're up against a good team, a team that are on form. But hopefully, we set up. We have a game plan to set up and try and hurt Celtic.
Well, Ruffy, if it's not going to be Dens Park, it could be Tynecastle. Can you see anyone stopping them from going through the entire season now undefeated?
I think Aberdeen and Rangers will still have something to say about that. I think Hearts have just went off the boil a wee bit, but no, I think there's still some really exciting games coming up.
Okay, there's something that you mentioned earlier in the programme that I thought was quite interesting, Stephen, about the attitude of the manager. Obviously St Mirren want to attack, want to score goals, want to entertain. I watched a game last night in which Manchester City's manager Pep Guardiola has that same attitude, but unfortunately at the moment he's getting it in the neck down south at Ruffy, because Man City are leaving themselves exposed. Monaco took advantage and City are out of the Champions League.
Yeah, I think we got a glimpse of it. We were at the Celtic game at Parkhead. I thought that for the players that they've got, the international players they've got defensively, I mean, Celtic were cutting them open, every opportunity, and they lost 3 bad goals. And the same the other night there, although they've scored something like 84 league games, Monaco. So I thought they were up against it, but I thought they could have done better, particularly when it was 2-1. You would have thought the experience that they've got, they'd be able to see that game out.
Yep, here are the last 8 teams in the Champions League. Barcelona, Leicester, Juventus, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, Monaco, Atletico Madrid and Borussia Dortmund. I love the line from Peter Shilton saying everybody will want to avoid Leicester. No, they won't. They'll all be saying, please, give me Leicester. Let's hope they have another one of those off nights. Who's your tip, Stephen?
At the start of the season, I fancied Bayern Munich, just with Ancelotti's record in the trophy, but having won in such a spectacular way, and with Messi and Neymar and Suarez, if they're firing, I now fancy Barcelona.
Yeah, but don't worry about saying that in the upsetting Ruffy. He's still getting over the Paris
If they get
Saint-Germain.
the same officials as the Paris game, they've got a chance.
You're like, you just won't let it go, will you? Okay, are you picking somebody as
Yeah, I'm going for Atletico now. I know they've got quality players,
Yeah.
and but they don't score goals, but they don't lose goals, which
Absolutely.
is important.
I'm just glad that you just stopped at bore, because I knew the catchphrase that was coming, and I thought, please don't say that in the last 30 seconds of the show, Ruffy. Listen, Stephen, we wish you and the team all the very best to get out of that relegation spot. I think playoff is where Jack is hoping to be with you, and then it's in the lap of the gods. But good luck to Stephen St Mirren. Great to have him as a guest on the programme. From Ruffy and myself, hope you enjoyed the show. Good night.